Definition of burnout. So burnout is basically the chronic stress that is specific to the workplace. So the stress and subsequent burnout, the origination source and perpetual source is workplace. It is persistent in the physical and emotional exhaustion that it causes. You can rarely or never feel well rested while in this state. And as a result, it presents with other comorbidities, including anxiety, depression, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and substance abuse. So, what causes burnout? This particular slide, this slide and the next slide, are informed by the Mayo Clinic with the link on the bottom of this slide. And I'm going to use informed by with this source and one of the others that we use for our discussion. While it has some very helpful information, it also, I think, is incorrectly focusing on solely what it is we can do as people to sort of self-care ourselves out of burnout, which in my opinion is impossible. There are certainly things that we can do, but the assumption that we solely are the ones that can get ourselves out of it is, I think, incorrect. So I have adapted and added detail to some of these things. I've also done some correction and clarity work for these bullet points. So just know that if you're going to go check out the Mayo Clinic, you may see some somewhat different information, and that is the reason why I've done some of the adjustments here. So with that caveat stated, what causes burnout? First of all, lack of control, an inability to influence decisions that affect your job and therefore affect you, such as your schedule, assignments, or workload. In particular, especially with pandemic crises, etc., the ability to do remote work, work from home, determining that schedule has been increasingly stripped away from GLAM workers with this return to work attitude and policies or lack of policies. So lack of control of where it is you work, how you work, what your workload is, etc. Next one is lack of resources. So an insufficient amount of resources you need to do your work. This could be additional staff for projects. This could be like physical supplies to work on projects. This could be software tools, digitization equipment, anything that would help make your job easier, better, more efficient, more accurate. All of those are considered resources. And for so many of GLAM organizations, there's just never enough of the right resources. Unclear job expectations are the next one. And this means specifically that you're unclear about the degree of authority that you may have or autonomy over your job, or what your supervisor and others may expect from you. So sort of that guessing game of like, what does it mean or look like for you actually to be successful, and having sort of a vacuum of no feedback or affirmations. Which gets us into our next one. There's either zero feedback, late feedback, or only negative feedback happening. When feedback on how you're performing is withheld or is limited or is only ever done in a, like, here's only the negative with no constructive feedback given, then it's only serving to completely tear you down with no tools to actually do better or navigate out of that. So you have very little idea of what success could look like, let alone how you could get there. And continuing, dysfunctional workplace dynamics is the next one. The existence of office bullies or manipulators. You feel undermined by colleagues or your boss, and your boss being hypercritical and micromanages your work. So those are a variety of flavors of dysfunction, and you may have all or just a few of these, but even just one of these present is enough to create a toxic work environment that causes burnout for everyone, including the toxic people. Next one, extremes of activity and imbalance. So when a job is monotonous, chaotic, or it's an unreasonable amount of work, which for us, we're usually in that third category, it means you're overworked and you need constant energy to remain focused and to try and get through that overwhelming amount of work. And then lack of social support. So you feel isolated at work and experience little to no support from your boss or colleagues. And as amazing as our partners, family, and friends can be, when you are experiencing workplace burnout, there's only so much that they can do to help shore you up. So, having that support at work with somebody experiencing similar dysfunction can help in terms of forming affinity and at least combating that isolation of at least you're not alone or the only person feeling this way.